Hello, everybody. Happy almost autumn. I'm Rebecca, and this is...
I'm Ellen.
And we like to focus on seasonal celebrations and the shifting of the time of the year and what wonderful things are happening in nature at different times. Sadly, the mosquitoes are still out because it's warm here in North Carolina, but we're hoping...
And they like me.
In the next month or so, hopefully sooner, that it'll get cold enough that we won't have to worry about them as much.
So we're looking at the autumnal equinox, which is when day and night are equal because the earth is upright from its tilt. It's not tilted in relation to the sun. In the winter, we are tilted away from the sun. In the summer, we are tilted toward the sun. We're on the top of the tilt. So right now it's like this, and we all the way around the earth get exactly pretty much 12 hours, although there are some slight exceptions to that because of the way that the earth gets in its own way. So right now here where we live in North Carolina, it's 12 hours and 10 minutes.
Oh, sure, depending on your
or
latitude.
will be on the equinox.
Oh.
Because the earth gets in the way of the sun, rising.
Oh.
It's different in different places. And I've been watching this in the north here, let's say in New England, they've been catching up with us very fast. Like they've been losing 6 or 8 minutes a day of daylight.
Oh, wow.
And then they'll pass us because then their day will get much shorter than ours.
Cool.
In places where humans have lived for thousands of years, there are stone carvings. Some places it's called petroglyphs. And from what I've heard, Mesa Verde in Colorado has petroglyphs that have to do with the equinox, which are lit by the equinoctial sunrise or sunset. The light would come in through a little crack and light up a certain area that it's carved. One place I think it's like a spear of light that goes through it. The other place that I know of is in Ireland, in a place called Cairn T, which is on the hill of the Cailleach, or old woman or hag. And there are floral carvings there, and they're lit up specifically by the equinox sun at whatever time of day was set by the ancients for the light to come in through sometimes a light box over the entrance of the cave. I'm not sure exactly where the light comes in from Cairn T, but it lights up a flower figure. And it does it for both equinoxes, so it splits the year. It's pretty amazing, and there are lots of cultural holidays at this time of year. One I can think of is Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, and there's another New Year that happens at the other equinox, which is the British New Year, the original agricultural New Year, which is March 25th, Lady Day it's called.
Things start really growing.
So we have the end of the year of the agricultural year, but Rosh Hashanah starts now, probably kind of like starting at the dark and moving away.
It's fascinating.
It is fascinating.
Cultures,
it is, and of course, that culture was Middle Eastern, so there may have been other reasons to have it at this point in time.
So, at the time of the equinox, the autumn equinox, as we said before, we have about as much daylight as we do nighttime, and then we start to have a shortening of the day as we head toward the winter solstice.
Right.
And so the birds, for instance, are attuned to that. Migratory birds, the Canada geese, summer birds we've had here, like, say, yellowthroats and other warblers, cuckoos, for instance. Those are birds we have here in the summer, but they're going to start shifting to other locations. They go to Central America, South America, Mexico, other continents as well.
time of the harvest.
Time of the harvest.
And we harvest all kinds of things.
Pumpkins.
Edibles and grains
Squash.
and
Yep, different kinds of grains. The squirrels have been harvesting pine cones. These are cone bones where they've left them behind. I can't walk in bare feet very well right now because of that. Of course, we've got things like corn,
which
out.
I saw a whole field of harvested corn today where the stalks were just left above the ground, maybe a foot above the ground. So they might be being used for silage, which is that they'll take them and chop up the field corn, and I think they even let it ferment in some ways. There's some things you do for silage, but or harvest for people, which would be at this point not green corn. It would be something like this.
Right, this is Indian corn, but we might have flint or dent corn that we would put into a corn crib or put up on pegs or string to store for later, and then we might travel to a mill to get it ground into cornmeal. We might use the corn cobs to make jelly. There's other fruits out there in the world right now.
Oh, yes, and we might use the husks to make corn husk dolls.
Corn husk dolls for gifts later on, for
Right.
instance.
Yeah.
Of course, we talked about grains, so there's things like flour that we might be threshing and winnowing and getting prepared to store for later on, making some liquid refreshment,
With
possibly.
Cider.
Oh, for cider, yeah. Apples,
Yes.
it's a big season of
Squish
apples.
your apples.
Also, what's the other thing you had in
Well,
there?
there's grapes.
Yeah, they're not real
There-
grapes, but
Grapes in there for wine. I mean, after all, you must have
that's a
some
great
wine.
way to keep the harvest if you're not storing your stuff in a root cellar or something along those lines. So these
we
keep
have
very well.
other wild fruits like this one, which is a passion fruit, and they grow wild in this part of the world.
Just pawpaws as well, and
Right.
persimmons. Folks have been harvesting persimmons, which you got to be careful about, right?
Yes, you don't want to eat a green persimmon.
Yeah, it's like
They're acrid. They make you pucker.
yeah, they're not good. But
No,
if they're
but if
ready,
if they're orangey and squishy and gooey, they're delicious.
and probably the raccoon is going to be the one, or the possum
Yes,
will be the one to actually
they're,
get to eat
they're
them.
much more patient than we are, and they get them in the night.
But lots of fruits that are out there, and of course things like acorns, which the squirrels are also harvesting and caching for later in the winter time. Hopefully they remember where they put them. Things like hickory nuts, they'll also do that with, and some of them actually do get lost and become hickory trees
Right.
later.
I suspect that the pine cones also they're harvesting the pine nuts out of that too.
Oh yeah,
And then probably maybe burying those as well.
sure, yeah. So you might get new pine trees if they forget where they put all of their nuts.
They're supposedly pretty good at remembering.
Right.
They're not the ones who can remember thousands of holes, though. There's
There's an acorn woodpecker in Europe, I know. Their brain is, apparently they've done studies, and their brain actually swells in size at this time of the year so that they can actually remember that even better. And then of course we have things like, this is a beaver chewed stick, and you can see the little chew marks on there. They eat the cambium, the nutritious growth layer in that, and then if they're not eating them, they're also going to cache them near their underwater lodge so that they'll have food for later on in the year too. So it's important to put away the food and make things for winter time when there's not as much available in the world.
which we do too.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yes.
anyway, we do hope and wish you a happy fall harvest, or if you're at the other part of the earth, we would celebrate what?
The vernal equinox.
The vernal equinox.
I don't know if they do eggs because it gets tricky, with
Oh right, you could try to balance the egg. We don't have our eggs out here right now, but
no.
we'll have chickens that we can show you. They're gonna feast on grapes. But yeah, you can try to balance the eggs. But yeah, good stuff.
And this is not the meat eating time, but that comes in another month when really it gets cold enough. You see, so this is a harvest, as in fruits and
Thank
grains
the plants.
and vegetables.
Thank you, plant
Yes,
friends.
it's the thank you plant time. Yes.
And the time of balance. So definitely, yeah, so we hope that you find some peace and sunshine and this beautiful golden light at this time of the year.
There is that. celebrate when the harvest is in, especially if the harvest is stored and you know you have it, safe.
And it's time for celebration.
Yeah, then you can celebrate. So you've squished your cider, and now it's sat around a few weeks, and it's getting a little bit bubbly.
Good stuff.
Yes, or the grapes.
Make our cabbage into sauerkraut and pickle our cucumbers.
Absolutely, all of those.
And do you want to read your nice
I'll read.
poem?
Yes, this is by a friend of mine, Aurora, and who wrote it for the equinox. We've gathered the harvest; the fruits be all around us. In safety we'll store them, for winter's upon us. And now, when the daylight doth equal the night, the great sun is fading, and shadows are bright. Behold, the darkness comes again, and light is ever the life of men. But we rejoice and do not weep, for we the Wiccae the mystery keep. And of course the mystery is that it all goes round again. Everything goes round again. Yes, so it's a lovely time of year, and we look forward to the cool down.
Definitely, yeah. So we'll celebrate by feeding some chickens some grapes, and they're going to have a little grape party, and we will have our own in the coming weeks as well. But being just grateful for all this wonderful bounty that we've got. So,
yes.
Yay!